So today I have the pleasure of chatting with Jon Hartney. Jon is a serial entrepreneur, technologist, and Canadian Blockchain Consortium director. And today we're going to talk a little about the businesses he owns and how he got his start, his interest and involvement in Canadian blockchain technologies, and what he has on the horizon for 2021. So Jon, thank you for joining me.
Thanks for having me.
My pleasure. So I gotta ask, how many businesses do you have now?
I would say really, I would say four, probably four businesses that I focus on right now.
Okay, and what do those four involve? Like just at a high level?
Yeah, kind of at a high level. My main business is consulting. So that's primarily technology and business consulting. I've got a company that produces software, and then one that's involved with information marketing and management. And then the newest one is one that's involved in the blockchain industry.
Okay, so quite the range. Some of them seem to be related, but at least one of them is kind of out there in something new. Would you say that?
Yeah, I mean, I think they're all interrelated pretty well, but that's maybe at a more granular level.
For sure. And you got your start off as a freelancer, right?
That's correct. Yeah. I started out in the e-commerce space. Really before I even kind of got out of college, just started networking with some people in the e-commerce space. Started running e-commerce stores from a technology perspective, and yeah, I got a lot of experience and learning from that. That start.
Interesting. So you were freelancing before you even graduated?
That's right. Yeah.
That's awesome. So did you jump straight into freelancing after you graduated, or did you kind of go into something full time and keep that running on the side?
Yeah. I mean, I guess I always was in the kind of freelance and consulting space. I always kind of wanted a business, and so I kept that running, despite other things that I had going on. So I was at some point working a full-time job with a few large companies, and at various times, but also had the freelance stuff going on the side for sure.
And did you find it challenging to juggle both that full-time work and the freelancer work that you had running?
Yeah, definitely. It's challenging. I learned pretty quick that there's no such thing as a 40-hour work week for an entrepreneur. So that was the biggest takeaway and learning from those early days. So
yeah, I bet. I'm sure it ends up being quite a surprise for some people who've never done the entrepreneurial thing before, and then they jump in and they're like, oh, this is not like a regular job.
For sure.
Definitely. What would you say was the biggest challenge of kind of having that set up?
I guess it was, I think deadlines were the biggest challenge. So, the kind of 9 to 5 job is easy enough to work through, but, having to negotiate deadlines so they weren't so tight, for example, on the freelance side was definitely, a learning from that.
Totally. How did you overcome it?
I learned a few things. One was how to outsource properly, time management, and really kind of what I alluded to earlier is the negotiation, the creating the project timeline, and negotiating where that sits with the budget that the company has in mind. So if they want a tighter timeline, that's obviously a higher budget because we got to put more resources on it at one time, right? So just really that negotiation process, and negotiating not just being for dollars, but for time and scope and kind of the whole project plan.
Yeah, absolutely. I can totally see how time management would be a big part of it in project management. But you mentioned outsourcing. At what point did you start outsourcing some of the work?
I get into outsourcing, I would say probably 2-3 years in. I mean, I dabbled in it a little bit early on. I think that was 2006 or 2007 or something like that. So it was pretty early days and not as sophisticated as it is today. So yeah, I mean, I followed a lot of kind of internet marketers and promoters and stuff like that who touted various outsourcing platforms. So tested some of those out, and had some failures and some successes, right? So we just learn through kind of trial and error, and make sure you have the source code before you pay people, that kind of thing, right?
Yeah, absolutely. So obviously Fiverr, Upwork, those weren't around at the time. Do you remember the platform that you used to find your people?
I can't remember offhand. I think it was like one of the predecessors to like Upwork or Guru or something like that. I can't recall offhand. Some of it was just Googling companies in India and stuff like that, and just sending emails, calling them, that kind of thing. So yeah, there's a lot more legwork back then just to get established and get that trust and relationship. Obviously, you can now just go into like Upwork or something like that, Upwork or Fiverr, and get probably for the most part a good reliable resource from there. So
yeah, for sure. How did you go about making sure that you found someone reliable to work with? Because I'm sure businesses have a challenge hiring people when you're hiring contractors. How do you know that you're hiring a good one?
Yeah, I mean, obviously a huge part is the kind of the interview process. Getting to know someone at a bit of a deeper level than just their resume. Asking some tough questions, and even after that, you really have to have to test their kind of their work ethic, their knowledge, and that kind of thing, right? So, I remember one of the first kind of big projects that was that I had success in. I actually tested out three freelancers at the like three outsourced freelancers at the same time, right? So they each kind of had a segment of the project to complete, and it was just distributing that work, and seeing how they kind of worked under pressure, and worked under a deadline, and how they communicated and interpreted the work products, and all that kind of stuff, right? So
Okay, awesome. And did you find that that approach was particularly effective to finding, at least one good person to work with?
yeah, for sure. I mean, I think of the three. I worked with two of them for quite some time, and I've actually the one guy that was kind of the top of the top of that test, I guess. I've been working with him for at least probably 6-7 years, so I kind of helped him build a team out in India and stuff like that. So it's pretty interesting.
Yeah, for sure. What would you kind of, if somebody's looking to outsource and they've never done it before, one piece of advice do you think would be the most important for them going into that?
I would say the most important thing is to test the claims of the person on the other end of the resume. Test those specifically, and then there's some work that has to be done on your part. I know this is kind of a second response, but there is you really have to have a project framework and process in mind, and really stick with that. Right, there has to be a good structure to that whole work process.
Absolutely. And is that something that you kind of learned along the way, or that you kind of knew from previous experience being on the other end of it, or?
Yeah, I mean, I got involved. My kind of my main work, early on was working in kind of big enterprise projects, and learning a lot of that, that practically, like how to manage time, how to manage the team, how to manage the scope, those kind of key pieces. Really that structure helped a lot.
Yeah, absolutely. I can see how that would be useful. So you're doing that full time now, right?
Doing
Running your businesses, and you don't have any, a full time job in addition to the like 4 businesses that you're currently running.
No, that's correct. Yeah, no, I don't have a full time job, quote unquote. But my running businesses, I think, is my full time thing, right? So it's I really focus on those.
And when did you make that switch?
Probably I would say about 10 years ago.
Okay.
So yeah.
So you've been doing it for a while.
Yes. Yeah. I mean, it didn't exist like it is right now 10 years ago, but I started out just on the consulting business, and kind of grew it from there.
Okay, awesome. So you started with kind of the one business and then kind of moved out into the others. Is that accurate?
That's accurate. Yeah.
Okay, cool. So how did it feel to make that transition, going from like, all right, this is kind of my side hustle before side hustle was a thing, and then suddenly it was like, oh, okay, this is now what I do.
Yeah. No, I mean, it was I guess I'm maybe an adventurous person. I don't like to just kind of sit and be totally secured, and at the mercy of some large company, for example. Also, I thought it was I got a good opportunity to get into consulting, and had a few good gigs early on. So those really kind of helped to shape where I am today. And I mean I learned a lot from them. Early on, you can kind of learn trial by fire, right? You gotta not only when you have a job. A job that you go to for one company, you're there day to day. You don't have to worry about your own benefits. You don't have to worry about a bookkeeper or accounting, or how you promote your business if you if you lose the consulting gig that you have, or there's a whole bunch of kind of aspects. And I just saw those as learning challenges, right? Things to learn, things to consult with experts about, and kind of grow my network, right? So yeah, I kind of took it as the approach as a bit of a learning adventure. I mean, maybe some people are a little more pragmatic about it, but the opportunity came up. I had had that kind of thought of what I wanted to do, and just I guess jumped in. So.
Absolutely, that sounds great. There's a lot of kind of parts to that. I'm hearing that your mindset is super important when you're going into it, and kind of facing all these challenges that you've never faced before. What would you say is kind of the hardest part of switching over?
I don't know. It's so long ago. I didn't really see it as a tough switch at that point. I mean, some might, I think, but yeah, definitely mindset is a huge piece. Being in the mindset that you can you can succeed, that you can meet the right people, that you can that your time and your kind of consulting effort is worth what you're building, right? There's a lot of kind of components to it, and probably those are things that people would be worried about going into their own business, or whether they're marketing themselves as consultants or selling a product. Definitely those are things to consider.
Yeah, absolutely. I noticed you brought up kind of billing as one of those challenges. I know it's something that a lot of freelancers kind of struggle with, where they're like, I have no idea what to charge. How did you figure that out?
I mean, I was fortunate to have a few good mentors in my corner at the time. So I really just relied on the experience of others, right? Understanding what people were doing at the time, what was kind of accepted practice and best practice. So I think really, I guess I haven't really thought about it, but just organically, I just did a lot of the research ahead of time, and got to know people that were already doing it, right? So
yeah, absolutely. It's super useful to have like other people that you can kind of lean on and have that network and have that kind of support. Would you say that's a kind of a big part when you're going into freelancing, is having that freelancer and business owner network?
oh yeah, definitely. You want to have a good strong network, and especially people that are experienced and have already been through the process and the business before.
Yeah, totally. So backing up a little bit, you said that you kind of started off as a freelancer and then you did that for a couple of years and then moved on to being a business owner. What did it feel like to make that particular switch?
From freelance to business owner.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I guess even as a freelancer, I did I guess quote unquote start a business, right? I ran some stuff through a corporation. I mean, for separation of income purposes, right? But yeah, transitioning from kind of that freelance mindset where you're just working a gig here and there, on the side, to full time. I mean, I think there's a lot of things to think about. Whether just what you're doing is what you want to keep doing, as a business owner, or if you're going to do really what the purpose of business is, which is to leverage not only your skills but the economy that you can create in your business. So whether that's through kind of, in my case, outsourcing, or through delegation, those kinds of pieces, right? So those are a lot of things that I probably didn't think about early on, but as I got into business and how I was going to actually kind of grow and market and create products and stuff like that, that's something that I started thinking about.
Yeah, absolutely. It's kind of a lot of things that you got to think about when you're moving into that new space.
Yeah, for sure.
So when you had your first business and then kind of had opportunities pop up that weren't necessarily, didn't really fit with your existing business, did you run them as did you take them on, or is that something that an opportunity that you kind of let pass?
Yeah, I think early on, I really just focused on the consulting business and that piece of it, and didn't think about other other opportunities or other things that were coming across the plate, I guess. But kind of moving on, as I get a little more sophisticated in growing the business and that kind of thing, I know a lot of people say that's really it's really good to say no and focus on one aspect of business, but I found that as long as there were opportunities that I thought were interesting to myself and others, and fit loosely within the technology management space, I started to kind of say yes to more things, I guess.
Yeah, totally. Kind of go where your passions took you and kind of move through all those different projects and learning opportunities.
Yeah, exactly.
Is that how you got your next business started?
Yeah, exactly. So the business that I opened with a business partner in, I think it was 2014, is called River Green Software, and so we actually we technically opened two businesses with that. So that was our software production company. Really focused on cloud software. I think right now the top two selling products are kind of a project management portfolio tool, and then an inventory management tool. But yeah, we started that kind of with the I guess with the intent of getting into the cloud space, right? Because that probably 2010 to 2015 is really the emergence of cloud software, and obviously some form of it existed earlier than that, is under different I guess different names and stuff like that. But really that was kind of the early days of cloud software, cloud computing, and software as a service. Those kinds of things. And so yeah, so it was a really an interesting space to be in. And my business partner in that, his name's Bernie Rozecki. He's actually an engineer based in Alberta as well. A fellow entrepreneurial minded guy, and he's in the engineering space. Really nothing to do with software development, but he has the kind of the project management and engineering background. So it was a good fit, and we both had a lot of interest in the cloud computing space, right? So.
Absolutely. That's super interesting. So how did you guys end up meeting?
We were both drummers, so we had some common interests and hung out in the same crowds back, I guess in the late 2000, close to 2010, something like that, when when I was still in Lethbridge. So just we just crossed paths and connected over a few things, including drums and our interest in investing and entrepreneurship and stuff. So
Of all the things to connect over, hey? That's so
yeah,
right.
for
Did you,
sure.
so did you guys go kind of in the early days and go like, let's start a software platform? How did that conversation even happen?
Um, Yeah, we really initially focused on the project management space. We're both interested in that, and it was a space that hadn't been as saturated as it is today. So we're really working on some distinguishing features there. But yeah, it was just we both had kind of that insight into kind of project management, and he had the engineering angle. So actually, we have a site called projectengineer.net, which it kind of was the initial concept, which later became a information marketing site with the kind of the cloud software behind it. But so it was really kind of common interest, and seeing a bit of an angle in an industry that's been kind of doing the same thing for the last however many years, right? So
Yeah, absolutely. It makes it one of those things that's kind of ripe for destruction or destruction. Geez, disruption.
disruption, yeah,
Maybe both.
disruption or distraction, whatever, yeah.
So is that kind of what the second business, the two-in-one deal was?
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, River Green Software and projectengineer.net are kind of hand in hand in terms of business development goes, right? So really we've been focused on kind of writing useful information articles to help individuals with their project management learning needs and that kind of thing with Project Engineer, and just continuing to develop the software into a better and better platform. So
That's fantastic.
yeah.
Given that this wasn't your first rodeo, would you say that it was easier or harder to start your second business?
Yeah, I think it was definitely easier to start it, to kind of manage it and keep it going. It's been it's had its ups and downs, more so because we both have our primary businesses that we work in, right? So yeah, it's from that perspective, it's easy enough to start another business or another two businesses or whatever, but you really have to balance that and have the time to manage the fun things like administration and accounting, right? So
Yeah, absolutely. I imagine kind of keeping the accounts straight, in particular for both businesses, gets to be a little bit of a challenge. You mentioned that you really got to come to a balance. How did you come to a balance to run both of those businesses?
I think it was really about just segmentation, segmenting the different the different offerings and products of each business, and making sure that there was a distinct kind of box for each one of those, I guess. And then yeah, I mean we I guess I say we particularly in River Green Software, we had a really good kind of segmentation of or separation of duties there. So it's really just about balancing the things that have to be done with the cool things that help grow the business, right? So having a bit of both, just to balance each one out, right? So a bit of accounting with a bit of marketing and content generation, right? If you kind of pull a couple things together that one that interests you and one that has to be done, you kind of get that reward, I guess, for running the business. So
Yeah, absolutely. Is that kind of how you divvied up who was doing what between you and your co-founder?
yeah, exactly. I mean, we really focused on kind of the areas that we had strengths in, and then and then we kind of parceled out between us the things that we had to do. So
Okay, cool. Yeah, that makes sense.
yeah.
When it comes to your teams, like how did you use one of your core teams from your other business to help build out the platform?
Yes, yeah. So yeah, I mean, yeah, yes is the short answer. But I think yeah, I'm just trying to think of the team. So within River Green Software, we're able to hire just basically freelance developers, locally and offshore both. So yeah, we've kind of balanced that out, and I guess while I used kind of my consulting business to find those like that talent. It's easy enough to kind of move them between projects if you kind of consider them as projects instead of just going between businesses, right? So really we try to keep it seamless. We just have projects here and there, and we're really focused on a project outcome rather than which company they're working in or whatever. It's about the kind of the project outcome, and really focus on the either the platform or the business outcome, right? So
Yeah, absolutely. And it sounds like it's one of those kind of definite advantages to hiring freelancer teams as opposed to a full-time team, is you have that flexibility to say, all right, this is a project that you're working on, and it's the business entity doesn't necessarily make a difference.
yeah, exactly. Yeah, I try to keep it keep it interesting rather than about business or where they're working or that kind of thing. But yeah, exactly.
Yeah, that's awesome. Okay. So what would you say was kind of the biggest challenge around having two businesses?
I think I would say that the biggest thing is focus. Really you have to set aside time for each business, right? So it's hard. I mean, it's easy enough to just to do kind of project work and do this and that and whatever. But you really have to focus on what business you're working on. What the objectives are for the business, and then at the end of the day, there can be projects that cross multiple businesses, but and it's easy enough to work at the project level, but just taking the time for each business and measuring what's where it's at, where it came from, where it's going, those pieces. That was probably the most difficult thing early on is just making sure that each business got that kind of attention, right?
Right. Yeah, absolutely. So throwing a third one into the mix, where did that one come from?
Yeah. So I mean, I'm always on the lookout for new and interesting things, and especially in the tech space. I mean, you have to keep up with your research. You have to keep up with the latest trends and that kind of thing. But I got an opportunity to to partner with a few guys on a I guess I would call it, initially it was like a kind of a Bitcoin mining venture, right? So I'm trying to think. So, I mean, I had heard about Bitcoin since 2011, 2012. There's obviously some notoriety and stuff in the space, and by kind of 2013, 2014, I was like, oh, well, there's something a little more to it than just the notoriety that it had and the kind of the hype and that kind of thing. There's actually a technology behind it called blockchain, and so I mean, I get together with a few other founders for this business, and we just looked at how we could, start contributing value to the industry, and also get to work together more, and also build grow a business out of it. So that's kind of how we started. And I can't remember. I think we founded it's called ADMCO, Alberta Digital Mining Company. We founded that I think in 2017. Just at the one of the peaks of the last few years of Bitcoin valuation and the cryptocurrency and cryptocurrency hype and scams and ICOs and ITOs and all the other stuff that's gone on. But yeah, it was definitely an interesting space to start looking into, and there's a pretty interesting dedicated community that's kind of in that space. So yeah, kind of a lot of those aspects. I know I covered a lot of stuff there, but all those aspects kind of drew me into the space and starting a business there. So
That's awesome. That actually gives me a pretty good jumping off point to talk about your work with the Canadian Blockchain Consortium. Is that how you got involved with them?
yeah, I met some of the folks there. So Clay Carrington is the executive director there, and so I met a bunch of people throughout the kind of the years doing, I guess, participating in trade shows and other events that particularly were held locally, either Calgary or Edmonton, and other places in Canada. So yeah, just kind of connected with a lot of the same people, and I guess the committee that I'm involved with is called the Industry Committee at Canadian Blockchain Consortium, and really it's focused on some of the aspects of what we're doing, so the quote unquote mining of Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies, but it's also focused on other industry impacts that blockchain will have in the coming years. So particularly supply chain management is a big one. There's a few others there as well, including stuff like tracking trademarks, stuff that people might have seen recently with the kind of the coronavirus and genome sequencing. So there's stuff that's happened in the blockchain to help with that type of research as well. So I'm talking about a fairly high level because there's a lot of depth to each of these kind of ideas, I guess. But yeah. So that's a long answer to kind of say yes, I think, to the initial question, but.
Oh, but it's good. It gives such a broad overview, and it's so interesting. I'm just sitting here going like, wow, you've gotten through all these different technical spaces purely through people, which I absolutely love.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, definitely. I mean, it's ultimately it's all about networking, taking time, with working with individuals and sharing in knowledge, right? So.
Yeah, absolutely. And speaking of taking time, you have kids and a wife and a life. How do you find time?
Yeah. I mean, I guess it all comes back to time management, project management, and actually setting time throughout the day, right? So I mean, if you if you go by the regular kind of 9 to 5 or 8 to 5 or whatever work day, right? I mean, that's kind of the norm for when you work and that kind of thing. But I mean, you kind of have to be flexible, right? So you have time set aside for family, maybe 5 till 8, 5 till 9, something like that. But that still leaves a couple hours before the end of the day to have conference calls with people that are in different time zones and that kind of thing. So it's just it's managing that time and just getting creative with when you're meeting, and we're connecting on a Sunday, right? So that I mean, I don't usually work just a 5-day 40-hour week. So I've accepted that, but there's easy. I mean, I think easy maybe because I'm a little more in practice, but I think it's easy to just balance a larger hour work week and still have time for the things that you value, right? So I guess it all comes down to what you value and what you're going to put in the priority in terms of your time management and what you're doing day to day, right?
Yeah, absolutely. It sounds like kind of knowing your values, knowing your priorities is just like the key to killing it as a business owner.
For sure.
That's awesome. So I guess that brings us to what do you have on the horizon for the next year?
Yeah, I'm just coming off of a really busy 2020. There's a lot of stuff going on, especially in the tech space. Lots of people had had a lot of things to get done before the end of the year. So, these last kind of few months here, January and going into February, I've just been, thinking about that question a lot. So, I'm not, I haven't got a clear vision for 2021 yet. But some of it's going to be, along the same lines, doing expanding the consulting business, really focusing on the marketing aspect of a few software products, and then there's a lot of opportunity that's starting to open up with the blockchain space again, with kind of the new I guess the new market trends that are happening right now in terms of the various currency valuations and that kind of thing. So yeah, I mean, there's a lot of opportunity. I'm just kind of taking a minute to see what's going to make sense for the next 12 to 18 months, and really just planning that out right now. So
that's awesome. Is that something you do kind of every year? Is take the beginning of the year to plan out what the rest of the year is going to look like?
I wish I could say yes, but it was just so happened that this year I actually have some time to do that. Usually it's it's a bit of a weekend here or there, and I take some time and think think generally about where things are going. But this year I've got some actual time, so it's probably once every few years I actually have that. So yeah, I would say every 2 to 3 years I get a good chance to just buckle down and really take a look at kind of a future vision. I do kind of like I alluded to there. I do take some time to plan out where things are going, but yeah, this will be an interesting year, a couple years, I guess. So.
Yeah, absolutely. It's been a bit of an adventure, I think, more so than usual. I did have one bit of a curiosity. So you've been relying on networking so heavily to kind of build out your businesses and grow. How have you found networking during the pandemic?
Yeah. I mean, it definitely makes it challenging. I mean, we have amazing technology like this. What are we using? Google Meets and Zoom and Teams. So definitely there's lots of opportunities, or I guess lots of technologies, and it's really about taking the opportunity to set time. I mean, I think it's a little more difficult, being at home and working for that networking aspect, but really gotta just reach out to your network, and even if it's just a one-on-one chat or whatever, just keep in touch with people. But I know there's a lot of organizations, including Canadian Blockchain Consortium, where you can just sign up, and there's a couple events a month you just pop into and see what's going on, right? So I just I mean, I'm fortunate enough to be networked with a few organizations, but I think it's good to just look at all the organizations, or maybe not all the organizations out there, but the ones that are in your sphere of interest, and connect with a few of them, and have some good conversations there, and those conversations lead to opportunities, and I've that's how I've built my business the last probably 12, 13 years here. So.
Okay, well, this has been great. I really do love that your story is so technology-based and at the same so human-based. Like it's just that wonderful balance of the two. Before we go, is there any advice you'd share with someone who's on the fence about freelancing or building their own business?
Yeah, I mean, it's I would say it might not be for everybody, but definitely if you're going to do it, jump in with 2 feet, and really, especially in the tech space, understand that it's about people first. You can make the most amazing product and get it out there, but if you don't have anyone to use it, or anyone that's excited about it, and you don't have the right people to network that product, then you're not going to make it very far. So yeah, hopefully that helps.
Yeah, that's great. Well, thank you so much for joining me.
For sure. Thanks for having me. This has been great.